When you think of Supreme, Nike and Patagonia, what comes to mind? Three incredibly successful brands, right? But here's the thing, Nike and Patagonia are still thriving. And Supreme's movement is, well, kind of dead. The hype is dead and people just aren't as interested anymore. But why? Why do some brands build powerful movements that last, while others fade out? Let's start with Supreme. In the early 2010s, Supreme was untouchable. Their exclusive, limited drops created massive demand. The products would sell out in minutes, leading to insane resale prices.
Resellers reselling helps drive the demand for the product and helps drive the hype of a brand.
People were lining up overnight to get their hands on Supreme gear, and the brand became a cultural icon. But today, things are very different. Supreme's movement built on hype is fading away. So, what happened? Supreme built its brand on exclusivity and scarcity. And here's the thing, exclusivity can generate quick wins, but when you solely focus on scarcity, you're building a movement based on temporary excitement. Once the buzz wears off, what's left? Supreme built a hype-driven culture with one-off experiences. While this worked for a while, it just wasn't sustainable long-term. The problem is, if your community is coming for a product and not the bigger purpose behind it, your brand has no long-term foundation to stand on. Now, let's look at Nike. Unlike Supreme, Nike's movement isn't built on hype alone. Nike's community is built on empowerment, something deeper and long-lasting. Their iconic "Just Do It" slogan isn't just a tagline, it's a mantra that connects people to a sense of achievement, resilience, and pushing beyond limits. When you think of Nike, you don't just think of shoes and athletic gear. You're thinking about what it means to be part of a movement that represents overcoming challenges. From empowering elite athletes to everyday people, Nike has cemented itself as more than just a brand, but a cultural force. And here's the difference. Nike doesn't just rely on clever marketing campaigns. They're aligned with socially powerful and relevant movements. Whether it's breaking barriers in sport or empowering people, Nike taps into the core values of its audience. It's not just about the product, it's about being part of the greater cause. And this right here is where Nike really shines. When you align your brand with a cause that your audience deeply cares about, you're creating loyalty that's almost impossible to break. People feel like they're part of something so much bigger than themselves. And then there's Patagonia. Patagonia is a textbook example of a brand that's built its movement around a mission. Their whole identity revolves around protecting the environment. They're not just selling jackets, they're fighting for a cause. Think about Patagonia's bold "Don't Buy This Jacket" campaign, where they actually urge customers not to buy their products, but instead repair and reuse the ones that they own. It's a very risky move for a retail company, but it worked because it aligned with their mission of sustainability. And that's exactly what makes Patagonia's movement so sticky. People who support Patagonia aren't just buying clothes, they're buying into philosophy of sustainability and environmental activism. The brand has transcended the product itself, creating a tribe of customers who care about the mission as much as they do. And when your community is tied to a bigger purpose, it doesn't matter what products you're selling, your customer becomes your advocate. They'll stick with you not because of your products, but because of the cause and purpose you represent. Now, let's compare this to Supreme. Supreme's community was built on exclusivity, but once the hype faded, there was nothing left to hold on to. The moment Supreme started overproducing and lost its scarcity factor, the movement died. They didn't offer their community anything deeper to connect with. On the other hand, Nike and Patagonia built their community around values. Nike's movement taps into personal empowerment of their customers, while Patagonia's is all about saving the planet. These values are timeless and ensure that their communities will stick with them no matter what. This is where so many brands fall short. They think that great product and great marketing is all they need and is enough, but movements that are solely built on trends or short-term hype are doomed to fade out. Hype fades, but value lasts. If you're an e-commerce founder today, you might be tempted with those quick wins, viral TikTok trends, product drops, or spiking sales during Black Friday. But ask yourself, what happens when the hype dies? What will keep your community engaged? The secret is consistency and purpose. Building a community around something that matters creates loyalty that lasts. It's not about one-off sales, viral moments, quick ad campaigns. It's about building a connection with your audience that goes beyond the product. And here's what I've learned working with e-commerce brands. If you're only focused on pushing products, you're limiting your brand's potential. For example, for a client, we created an online community that empowered their customers to share their personal stories. The product became secondary and the community first. The real magic happened when customers started connecting on a deeper level, forming meaningful relationships. And guess what happened? As these connections flourished, so did their engagement and loyalty. We saw retention increase in weeks. Customers weren't just buying products, they were investing in a community that resonated with their values. The power of shared experiences led to organic conversions, with customers recommending the brand to their friends and to their family. boosting loyalty. When you create a space for genuine connection, your community doesn't just support you, they become your advocates. If you want to grow your brand, go beyond the short-term wins and think long-term. Your community shouldn't just be your customers, but your biggest ambassadors. The biggest, most successful companies in the world don't just focus on product itself. Movements that last aren't built on hype, they're built on shared purpose. And when your brand stands for something that your customers truly care about, you don't have to chase virality. Your community spreads your brand and buy from you again and again because they believe in your mission. And that's how you create a long-term successful brand. The brands that are winning today have this all figured out. They know that to build a movement that lasts, they need to give their community something to believe in. And if you want to build a community for your brand today, go to createcommunity.com. And if you want to learn more about communities, then subscribe.